My disgusting coworker sits naked on my office chair. My new colleague made a huge mistake at our company. Even though he acted like a jerk to me, I didn't want him to get into trouble, so I stayed in the office with him until midnight to solve the issue, and I never reported it. But then, when I got up to leave, he asked me to wait because he wanted to talk to me. He asked me why I hated him so much. I was flabbergasted. I asked him what he meant because in my opinion he was the a-hole. He started telling me that the first day he got here he was mentored by Ben and told him, watch out for her because she is Muslim and has told everyone over and over again that gay people should be banned. First, sir, I came from Morocco to work here. Who the hell am I to want to ban someone? Secondly, my religion teaches me to accept and respect everyone. New guy went on to say that he had doubts after tonight because I could have fed him to the wolves but instead helped him out. But then came the worst part. New guy told me that Ben goes into my office when I work from home and gets this, sits naked on my chair to punish me for being a prude. I asked the new guy to not tell anyone what he told me, and now I want to get a hidden camera and install it in my office. I want to first ask HR if it's not against office policy, but yeah, I definitely want to catch his ass. Literally, would I be an a-hole if I did that? Update, well, it is very nice meeting you all. I have never in my life read so many ideas to make someone's butt itch or hurt. The things we can achieve if we just work together. Smiley face, I had to talk to HR. I requested an urgent meeting. I didn't tell them everything because I know what they would do. They would investigate and then come back with, it's just a rumor. For now I will call Ben Banana Nose. He is very loved and I don't want to put a new guy in a bad place. So I told them I'm afraid someone might be sneaking in my office because all my stuff gets misplaced. Since I have a higher position at this company, they took it real serious real fast. So my dear comfies, camera is in its place, and I will be working from home the next couple of days. Update, hey everyone, I guess thanks for being curious and creative. Before I get to the update, I would like to explain where my office is and how Banana Nose was able to do what he did. My office is at the end of the hall. The only room that's facing my office is a utility room / supply closet. We all have offices on the same floor, and with we I mean the members of our team. I know it might seem naive of me, but I never questioned the new guy. I've never told him anything about how Banana Nose treats me and how he calls me a prude, so for him to make that leap seemed excessive. Now for the update. Today was my first day working from home since the cameras were placed. After working for a few hours, I got a call from HR to come to work. My heart was beating so fast and I literally can't remember how I got there. The nerves were eating at me. I got to the HR department, which is one floor above us, and I noticed everyone staring at me. The head of the department was sitting in a room with a couple of other people. They started talking. I couldn't listen. Things like, we as a company blah blah blah. I stopped them and said I couldn't bear listening to a TED talk and I wanted to know what was going on. Last night when I already went home and the camera was installed for maybe an hour, Banana Nose entered my office. HR asked me if I wanted to see the video or if I just wanted them to explain what happened, as if it's a nature documentary. I told them I definitely wanted to see the video. I will first start by saying what I saw objectively. Banana Nose entered my office and the door behind him was still open. He looked over his shoulder and it looked like he was talking to someone while taking his pants off. Then, it happened, he sat on my chair butt-ass naked. He took some candy from my desk and started dancing on my chair, rubbing his butt in my chair's DNA. I got sick to my stomach. He then took my pens one by one and licked them. It looked like he was still talking. There was no sound, so I wasn't sure. Then the worst thing happened. 2 years ago I lost my 7-year-old niece to cancer. On my desk is a picture of her and I the last time we got a hug. So you can clearly see it's not only a child but a sick one. This evil man rubbed his banana all over my picture frame and laughed so hard. He took out his phone, made a call and then left. I started crying like a baby. I feel violated. I feel used. I feel unsafe. HR guy was talking but I didn't hear anything. I saw myself in the reflection of the window and I stopped, wiped away my tears and asked what the next steps are. HR said Banana Nose was asked to come in later and they would fire him on the spot. It seemed to me like they thought that that was enough for me. I told them firing him is step 1. I wanted to know who he was talking to and demanded to see the security tapes for the hallway. You can't see into my office on these tapes, but I know for a fact you can see who is standing in the hall. HR accepted my request and asked security for the tapes. It takes some time but they expect to get it sometime tomorrow. For now I feel unsafe everywhere I go. When I got in my car all I could think about was, maybe he was in my car, maybe he was in my home. I know that sounds crazy but I feel crazy. I will do my best to update you all. For now I don't know what I need yet. Thank you all. Update. First I want to thank everyone. Your support and kind words helped me when I couldn't sleep, having this feeling of being alone. May it come back to you to benefit your lives, each one of you. I don't know where to start. Forgive my brain giving up on me. It has been a lot. I have viewed the tapes and what I saw was, I don't know. It was clear he was talking to someone. I too thought it could be a new guy, but it wasn't. New guy was seen on tape at the beginning of the hall turning his back and leaving. Banana Nose was giving a show in my office for 4 of my coworkers, 1 male 2 female. 2 of them I trained. All 3 of them I helped when they made many mistakes. They stood by the door while he danced and filmed him. One of the females started to fist pump. It was disgusting. Before going to HR to view the tape, I did my research. I read in my contract that when there is a conflict of serious nature that can't be solved, it needs to be taken to the board for review and judgment. I knew that if I asked for them all to be fired that it wouldn't be a problem, because like I said, many mistakes. So I came up with a different idea. I asked for compensation from the firm and all parties involved of $1 million per person. I know, ridiculous enough to get me in front of the board, to get them in front of the board, and I can't wait to show these tapes in front of 11 rich old men and 1 female, who all have a lot of influence in our field of business. But most of all, I can't wait to look them in the eye and ask them why. I know their answer wouldn't change anything, but it would give away who they truly are. Banana Nose isn't fired yet. When I got home after our meeting, the HR guy told me they wanted to wait until they had the full story so nothing was unanswered. After today I asked them not to fire him because the board meeting would be useless, and if he quits he will lose all his benefits, so this way, he has little choice but to show up to the meeting where I will do my dance. I don't know if I'll stay at this company even though I love to work here, because I can't believe that there is any way where it would be possible for a new guy to know this info and all my other colleagues not. Yesterday I drove to a new guy's house. I told him I never mentioned his name. I want him to have peace and not be afraid that other people will act out against him as some sort of vengeance. His secret is safe with me. Some people asked me what I would do if someone read this from work. Let me say it like this. I work with a bunch of nerds, not the good kind that's on Reddit, but the bad kind that thinks TMZ is what keeps you up to date. They use words like, whatever. I bet you can picture them now, and if they do show up here and read all of this, so be it. I couldn't cope without all of you. I have no family here and I thought my coworkers were my friends. I guess we all make mistakes. Again, thank you all for everything. I kinda love you guys. Just make sure you never say whatever. The finale. An hour ago I got the news that everyone involved quit their job. They got their notice that they have to appear in front of the board and they didn't want that. By everyone involved I also mean one other person that was not on the tape but knew of it and was involved on different occasions. This was something that happened frequently. When they first had to come to HR and watch the tapes they said it was just a joke that got out of hand. One of them even tried to say that I knew of it. They wanted to first keep their job and asked for a group session to work things out, but when HR said there would be a board meeting, they resigned the next day. As for me, I handed in my notice but this wasn't accepted. The company offered me a better paying job in a different location. They will help me with relocation and everything. I'm glad that I got this chance. Since I have a more senior position I need a well-rounded, trustworthy assistant. I asked for a new guy. They agreed with it and the new guy was very excited. Our relocation is closer to his boyfriend's house and I'm glad that I don't have to leave him behind in a toxic environment. I guess this is my final update. I decided not to sue. I don't ever want to think about what he did ever again, and I don't want to put my energy towards this kind of toxicity, and I know one thing for certain, you get what you give. Thank you all for your loving messages. I wish nothing but the best for all of you. Story 2. Slight chance my pregnant wife had an affair. Should I ask for a paternity test or wait? My wife and I have been together for 12 years. I don't know how to describe it other than calling it the perfect relationship. I think in 12 years we've only ever gotten to the point of really raising our voices at one another maybe 2 or 3 times. We do everything together but always have never had issues allowing each other to lead our own lives and follow our own interests. We bought a house where we wanted. We both have good high-paying jobs that have great work-life balance. Basically it's been everything short of perfect. We've been trying for 2 years to get pregnant and it hasn't been happening. We were just about to start the fertility stuff when I came home from a work trip, and guess what? She's pregnant. I had this weird instant thought of, wait, I thought we didn't try during the week last month because of the fertility testing, but I couldn't remember exactly because to be honest, we were busy at it, so I just assumed I'm misremembering. Now, I travel around the country pretty regularly for work. Other than COVID, I've been on the road as much as 40 weeks a year sometimes. Since COVID it's been less but still more than a week a month. Over the last 4 to 5 years my wife has gotten very friendly with the guy she works with. Let's call him Matt. Matt is slightly younger. I know him. He's married. I know his wife. They've worked together for I think 7 years or so. He's always been around. He and I have been friendly. Have I ever thought something was happening? No, but I've always thought, you'd be a fool to not think there's even a 1% chance your spouse would go outside the relationship. Maybe I'm naive, but I've always seen it as a safeguard to not take my wife or any other partner in the past for granted. She's never given me a reason to think she'd do that, but anything is possible. So about a month ago I'm out of state for work and she's at home. I ask her what she's doing earlier in the day and she says Matt is coming by for dinner. Not out of the ordinary. Matt comes by from time to time, sometimes with his wife, sometimes without, sometimes when I'm not there. I don't think much of it. We have a security system which includes cameras both inside and outside of the house which we installed after an unrelated incident a few years ago. They record and are live accessible by both her and I. I often use those cameras to check on the dog when I or both of us are away, as the rest of the system is monitored by a company in case of an alarm going off. She knows I check those cameras. There's a system installed where I can talk through them. I'll mess with my wife and she will with me if either of us are out of town. She travels for work as well, but far less than I do. Point is, it's known that I check them often when I'm not at home. So I turn on the camera and I see my 4 months pregnant wife, lying on the floor, on her side with Matt sitting, straddling her legs and using a foam roller to massage her hips. So I'm like, okay, what the frick is this? I start rewinding through the footage and they are eating and talking normally, but then they get on the couch and get under the same blanket. Now, they are feet to feet, but that couch isn't that big. Then they move to the floor and that's when I logged in. Anyway, I text her, I'm still watching the cameras. They both look like deer in headlights and he very quickly leaves. We get into an argument. She isn't mad at me accusing her, but she's adamant that nothing has or ever would happen, and that what I saw was innocent, and she was complaining about being in pain from the pregnancy, which I know is true. She's already having some issues with back pain, etc. The biggest point of that discussion was I asked if I were there, would you two have been comfortable doing any of that in front of me, and she reluctantly admitted, no, probably not. I told her I didn't want to talk after that and we'd talk when I got home 3 days later. That's when it hit me. What if my weird gut moment feeling about her telling me she was finally pregnant was this? What if my 1% happened and this is not my child we are having? Now, it eats away at me while I'm at a hotel alone 1,000 miles away for 3 days. I reconcile with myself that I think it's less likely than more likely that something between them has happened, but basically my 1% just jumped to 10%, 20% maybe. I get home and she's on eggshells and doesn't mention it. I kinda wait to see what she's going to do. 2 days later she finally brings it up and breaks down, swears nothing has happened, she would never, doesn't do anything over the top to try and prove anything, which I took as a good sign. But anyway, we talk out the issue and everything to a point of at least moving forward for now. I'm still coping and dealing with it, figuring out how to retrust after all this time. I'm getting more and more understanding of the fact that they are friends. They've been friends for so long. Maybe he has intentions, but I don't see her having any, and I've never really picked up on it, and I've spent time around both of them together many times and never caught anything. So the thing that is destroying me right now is, if I'm wrong and something did happen, well, I can figure out how to deal with that. What if that child isn't mine? In the argument and a few long conversations we've had about the situation since, I've never brought that up, and she's not mentioned it, mostly because I don't want to make the situation worse and crush her if in fact she's telling the truth, which I mostly believe. The only thing I can think to do at this point is to wait until the baby is born and immediately order a paternity test in secret. Should I do that? Should I tell her and have it dealt with now? If you're a woman in her shoes and you're telling the truth, would that destroy you, or your view of me? If you're lying, what would you do if I asked? I don't want to ask a super vague question, but what should I do? TLDR, very small chance my wife of 12 years had an affair and she's 4 months pregnant, and I can't bring myself to ask for a paternity test for fear of crushing her if nothing actually happened, but I am planning on doing it in secret when the baby comes. What should I do? Update, so many comments. Thank you everyone, more than I can address directly, but I'm going to keep reading a few things. Firstly, stop DMing me about this, thanks. Secondly, some have made some good points about addressing it now rather than later, and that's something that I'm considering more than I was before. Thank you. Thirdly, to those focused only on my relationship, I get it, but that's not what I'm focused on. We've been talking about it a lot. My wife and I are pretty open people with each other. I'm not saying I'm convinced nothing happened, but I'm more focused on paternity right now. Fourthly, if I need to track, spy on, Life 360, my wife, then this relationship is over already. That's not the relationship we have, and not one that I ever want, and in my opinion not one anyone should ever have. We are working on rebuilding trust. As I said in this long-winded post, my default of 1% possibility went up to 10% or so. Trust me, I'm taking my relationship seriously, but to those I've said this to already, if the kid isn't mine, then there's no longer any conversation to have. Lastly, I've already had this discussion with my lawyer. I don't live in a state where the birth certificate stuff will be an issue. If I have paperwork that this child isn't mine, then divorce isn't going to be much of an issue. Both of us are in an independent financial situation where it won't matter much regardless. I'll keep up with this post as long as I can and post an update when and if anything gets resolved. Update, so she was out of state on a business trip until late last night. It's Friday, so she worked from home in our kitchen, so I asked to talk and brought it up and asked for a test. She immediately said yes and said there's zero doubt and nothing that she'd even have a second to worry about, but she has no problem doing it now. The only caveat I left it with is, if it's invasive at all per our doctors, then I'm okay waiting until it's low risk. I'm not a doctor, no clue what they'd have to do it now. So not sure when we are, but she's aware and we are getting one. It was a decent and longer conversation. We are currently sitting together getting lunch. She's got no clue I did this on Reddit, hence the new account, because she is on here somewhere. Thank you everyone for your help and opinions. A bunch of you made me realize that we are already really open about everything, and if nothing happened then she wouldn't worry about getting one. I was more worried about her health and adding some insane level of stress if it was an issue, as she's an at-risk pregnancy and it took so long for us to get pregnant. So again, thank you all for the help. I suppose I can update if it's mine or not, but I'm not sure how long that will be. I'm 90 to 95% sure it is mine, but this will help us continue this conversation. Thank you.